Well, hello traders and investors. I'm LA Little. This is your daily NeoTA wrap. We take a look at these markets from a neoclassical perspective, looking at supply and demand on the charts and using that information to find entries in the direction of a trend. I do a show 4 times a week, Monday through Thursday, broadcast at over 10 o'clock Eastern Time, archived on YouTube under the channel LA Little. If you want to subscribe to the show, just reach up, hit the right up in the right-hand corner, hit the subscribe button. Anytime I push content, you'll get a notification. And while you're on the site there on YouTube, you've got all these places you can share. You can share it on Twitter, you can share it on Flickr, you can share it Facebook. You know, I always appreciate you sharing, reaching out, helping me reach others with respect to what I do. As far as what happened, take a look at the numbers here. It was a down day on the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ was pulling the market back in. You had a push up this morning. They couldn't hold it up. By the end of the day, they pull it back in. You had good strength over in Europe, but that faded here, didn't hold. You finished flat everywhere outside of the technology sector. Gold, silver, they were down fairly big. Bonds up again. The dollar up as well. Looking at the stocks, at the quotes, let's start with the S&P. And so what do we got here? So today, let's see. We go up into this area. And what kind of volumes we got? So really nothing spectacular about that. The only thing that stands out on this chart today is a hanging man. And that from a candlestick perspective, that's not so good. The other thing that did happen was you tested the top of that range. And that actually was a failure on the top of the range with less volume. So I guess if I were looking at this neoclassically, that's the only thing I see that point, that has any kind of test today, and that's a negative test. In other words, it failed to do what you want to see it do. Let's look at the NDX, NASDAQ, see what they did. Now, their range is very much different. You got almost a bearish engulfing, not quite on the NDX. And what I mean by that range is the range is much bigger here, right? You're up here to down there. You're about halfway in this area here. So you're struggling with the halfway mark. You get up, you come right back down. Let's look at the NASDAQ, see if that one actually shows any better or worse, and it doesn't. And finally, the Russell. Now, the Russell ended up higher today, but the Russell also struggled into the day, so it does a doji. And did Russell do anything? It looks like it tested on this bar. And the only reason I'm picking that bar is that was the big push up and held it. And then you get a volume test on this day, still holds that too. So I don't see anything negative on the Russell. So the only thing I really see out there is the S&P 500 giving us a slightly negative signal. Let's take a quick look. I'll just pop through these sectors one by one, see what they look like. And the reason for that is you don't have any clear signals other than a slight negative on the S&P. So you got a bearish engulfing, less volume on the IBB. That one could give you a little bit of a pullback finally. Home builders, let's see what they look like. Really nothing bad there. Real estate, and breaks out, makes new highs. Now real estate typically is going counter trend because it's a safe place with the REITs. But that is a new high on it. Now you got a failure on the transports at the highs, and let's see if we have more volume or not. 235, that top was 210, so you actually hit it with more volume. So you get a failure at the highs, but you hit it with more volume, means you can do it again. Transport stocks. Okay, here on the stocks, you got a bearish engulfing. Now, we've already talked about the SOX is rolling over, right? And it's continuing to roll over. You kind of got this H pattern. A lot of times the H patterns end up being bad. And, just from a visual perspective, that's what happens. When I look at it here, what I see is this area down here being a key area. And that key area is right there. If you can't hold that area on the way down, you're going to finally get a sell-off here. Bring it over the weekly. That low, that's the key spot. So that 142.81 number is going to be key number on the way down, and that's what I'd be watching. If this SOX starts to sell off, it's going to be the first time after a year, Here's the monthly chart. You can see this thing has been on a roll since the beginning of 2016. 2016 straight up, you double, almost double. That's a heck of a move, and just a 50% retracement takes you down 50%, right? It's going to take you down a long way. So we'll see. I don't think you get that off the top, but you could start to roll this thing finally. Basic materials. It's not a sector I'd be playing in. That's, I've made that clear to members. I think I've made it clear here. That's not a sector you want to be playing in. Basic materials, also not a sector I'd be playing in right now. It's hit this swing point high twice. Neoclassical says you only get 3 shots, right? The third time, the odds are against you. And so when you look at this, you get over it here, you come back immediately, do a full retest, regen. You regen higher. Now you come back the second time, volume heavy. You pop back up. You're going to have resistance on the way back up right at this area here. If it can't get over that and comes back in, breaks it most likely. And then you're going to be setting up a roll on this one. XLE, that one has been sucking wind for a long time. Let's see what it looks like. And still is. Nothing different there. Financials, they got a nice pop on the open along with the rest of the market, but couldn't hold it. That's a test failure. That's not good. So you got a test failure here, right at the top of the, test failure in the sense that you tested it last week's bar. That was the high there on June 23rd. You also tested back into these swing point highs. That's not a positive. That's a negative. The bottom of this bar is going to be key this time around, 23.97, and it closes at 24.02. It will probably test into that area again tomorrow. Industrials, let's see here. So I'm getting enough negative vibes here as I go through the same thing on industrials. Hanging man, technology. I don't think technology did well today given the others. Not a bearish engulfing, but looks like the NDX. Consumer durables, also a hanging man. Utilities. And that one actually held, which you would think of a rotation to safety. Healthcare inside bar. Well, actually, it was a slight test inside the big bar from 2 days back, and a doji here on the XLY. Market's going to try to work down tomorrow. You're in a period though where you're not going to see a huge move. You're end of the month, end of the quarter. The window dressing is going to be taking place. You're not going to see this market sell down heavy, most likely. I've seen it before, but it's not normally the case. The more likely case here is that you get a pushback, and then something comes in and pushes you back up, and you continue to trade in that range until we get out to next week. That's it for tonight. Have yourself a great one. I'll see you next time. Good night.